All right, this video is going to be a bit of a long one, but I'll probably make more shorter ones anyways. This is more for the, if you've been paying attention, I do mostly stuff on like economics and politics, but this one is for budgeting. That's why it says budget up here. I lost my stand for my phone, so I'm just using my hands. But it's pretty easy, and this is what I would say: just use Google Sheets for now. It's free, and you're not going to be doing any crazy math for for the most part. I mean, this is just to create this is just to visualize your own debts and stuff like that, and obligations, and what you're coming in with and what you're going out with. Okay, so for starts, this is what I do. I just type provider, date due, amount remaining. There's no, it's just words right now. And then I have two columns. One is your expenses and the other is income. And to make they're kind of like titles, you just click the little plus button, bold, and then I just center it like that. That's it. So it's gonna be your income, your source. So underneath it, we'll put like, I don't know, job 9 to 5 or something. These providers are, I call them providers because for me it makes sense, but you can call them whatever you want. It's pretty much who you owe. Okay, and now I just pre-entered a lot of this. I just made up some things that you have to pay. I made up due dates on them to make this a little cleaner and like nicer to look at. You can highlight this whole bar at once, and then where to go? These little boxes, I keep it to that. I do the thickest bar, and then I do bottom, to just, I don't know, kind of separate it. You can do the same, grab it and just put a bar in between, or you can grab down the center and do a double bar. Where did a double bar go? Oh, you just click it twice. So for me, a good way to help with this. All right, so I figured out how to make the screen full screen. I'm by no means an expert. I used to write this stuff out on my own every day, or not every day, every month. Well, it was payday. Every time I was getting paid, I would open up my bank account, write it all out, and then it just got to be a lot. So this is a lot easier in my opinion. You can just write it one time and then update it. So the way I did this too is you can click on an entire column and you just click this little money button, and you can change it to like format as currency, or like what if you wanted percentages for some crazy reason, but whatever. This is remaining amount. Obviously, if you have rent, you just delete that. I put remaining amount instead of leaving this all blank because every month I come back and I check my, I don't know, it's not really a budget. It's just like a spreadsheet, I guess, it's almost like a balance sheet. And I just check and go, oh, okay, like I made a payment. Now my mortgage is a little lower. If you have something like water, you pay monthly. I put all these as monthly payments. But say my water is every 3 weeks. You just take that and divide by, or sorry, every 3 months. You just take that and divide it by 3, and then just put that number in here. You can make it as fancy as you want, like fill in the colors on the backgrounds of it to make sense to you. I do red because expenses, you want less of them. So you want less red, you want more green. And yeah, these are just hard numbers filled in up here. I just typed in 1,000. If you wanted to get more into it, you can always like for Google Sheets, it's different than Excel. There's a lot of similarities, and they have this like function. But for this, you just do like equals. So this cell is going to equal, and then you would click this cell, and then you're still in it. It doesn't show up here, but you're still in it. Just the star button or shift 8 key means to multiply, and then I would just do 2. So then 2 weeks plus 2 weeks equals 4 weeks, which is monthly. Just hit enter, and then it'll update. So then, like, say you get a raise and you're like, oh man, I make an extra $10 now because my boss is amazing and thinks all my hard work equals $10, and then it'll just update for you. And I believe you can do this pull down where it'll just take this, add the same formula. And if you ever get lost, say you start making tons of different formulas, you just click the cell you're curious about, click up here, and then it'll highlight the spot that is used for that. I call it formulas, but I don't know, equation or something. So yeah, I don't know. Hopefully this was a little helpful. I know it's a longer video, but it's more or less, you see these online all the time, and there's some really fancy ones. You don't need the super fancy ones to get you started. Like really just the beginning ones. Like this would be just fine for getting a visualization of your expenses. And then you can come back to it, update it. Say you paid off a credit card, then you can just clear out these cells and zero them out. Obviously, you still have the credit card. You don't want to close it because that's available credit to you, which is good. You don't want to get rid of that. But you could just zero out, and you could type like NA because it doesn't have a due date, and call it good, and then kind of work your way from there. You don't, in my opinion, you don't need like fancy pie and bar graphs to show you how in debt you are. you know, they're cool. Nothing against them. I'm just saying, like, this is the most basic kind of thing that would actually most likely be helpful so that you can visualize what's happening. And, one more thing you could do if you wanted to, you could run a total between income expenses. So then you could take how much you're making. So again, we would do like equals. It would equal this one plus sign this one. That's how much you're bringing in. And then say your total amount of debt, you could just, up here, you could do sum. And it would be like, hey, what do you want to summarize? You just click and drag all these and hit equal. And then you could go, okay, well, how am I doing? You take your income minus your total expenses and hit enter. And it's like, oh, cool. I have $300 left over after all this. If I continue to make this amount of money, just something along those lines, that's, hopefully this is instructional and informational. So this stuff, to me, it's pretty basic, but it can be a launch pad for you to then move further into things, like further your financial literacy.